Hello, in this video, we're going to perform some attacks. And just as a recap, we're going to run some web scanners on our web server we set up in the last video. We're going to run Nmap, Nikto, and Zap. Okay, so let's move over to our Parrot OS box. And we can see some of the files from that web server. But what we're going to do is launch a terminal here. We're going to use Nmap. We're going to run this command as root. Write our command in. We're going to do -sv, which scans for versioning information on the port. Okay. And then since we know the exact port that we want to scan, we could say scan port 8000. And then we can supply the IP that we want to scan. Again, default password for Parrot should be Parrot. And this shouldn't take too long. Okay, now that our Nmap scan is done running, we can look at the results here. We can see port 8000 is open. It is an HTTP service. The Nmap is even smart enough to know that this was the simple HTTP server, which is the old module name from Python 2.7 on the http.server module that we were running. Okay, so it was accurately able to determine that it was a Python web server and that it's open and that the service is HTTP. Okay. I'm looking down another line. It was able to tell that the MAC address is associated with Oracle VirtualBox, which is pretty interesting. Okay. So now that we have this scan done, we can move on to our next one. All right, next up, we can run our Nikto scan. So again, we're going to run it as root, the command Nikto, -h, essentially for host. And then you type in the IP address of your target. Instead of doing the port at the beginning, you add the port on here. So we can do our IP address : the port, and we can hit run. This might take some time, but I'll cut to the finished output once it's done. And really quick, looking back at our web server, we can see all the requests that Nikto has generated. All right, and here's the results of our Nikto scan. Overall, not that much different from our Nmap scan. Okay, but we do see there's an interesting call out here on the simple HTTP module from Python. And it also identified this downloads folder, which if we were an attacker trying to get some more data about the host, that might be a good place to look to see what kind of files would be in that downloads folder. In this case, it's just our user directory, and we don't really have to worry about it from that perspective. But it's helpful to know that Nikto tries to give you some interesting hints on what to look into next as an attacker. Okay. All right, so now we have this scan ran. We can get out of the terminal here, and let's go to applications. We're going to go to pen testing, most used tools, and you'll see OWASP Zap right here, little lightning bolt icon. So what we can do here is run an automated scan, and we're going to type in our IP address and port right here. We can click attack. You can see it's trying to do some spidering to get a feel for the file structure of the web server. Okay. And Zap, you can also have an alerts tab, which shows some interesting vulnerabilities potentially, or data about the website that might be helpful from an attacker's perspective. Okay. Going back to our web server here, you can see the requests that Zap is sending over the network. And I'm going to let this run for a couple minutes here. But after about a minute or two, you can stop the Zap scan. And to stop the scan, what you can do under this automated scan tab is just click stop. Again, after a minute or two, you should be good. Once this number of requests gets over 1,000, that's probably enough data for us to work with. Okay, so we can click stop here. All right, at this point, we have successfully run our scans. In the next video, we're going to go into Elastic and start looking at the data and seeing what detections we can create. I'll catch you in the next video.